There is some huge progress being made on President Biden's Build Back Better package. The lawmakers in Congress are negotiating on $42 billion in extra crisis stimulus relief funds. This money will be allocated towards new checks for people that are financially struggling. So you want to be sure to continue watching this video to find out the latest stimulus check information. Now, the House Representatives have finally passed legislation that is going to provide $42 billion to replenish a fund created during the crisis to help restaurants recover hit to their businesses. Lawmakers passed the bill among party lines, 223 to 203 votes. 4 Democrats opposed the bill, while 6 Republicans voted for it. The crisis aid package signed into law by President Biden last year included $28.6 billion for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, which provided funding for more than 100,000 restaurants. But the program received more than 278,000 applications, requesting a total of more than $72.2 billion. Democrats said the additional funding is necessary to ensure that the full demand can be met for eligible restaurant applicants that continue to struggle because of the way the crisis upended their operations. House Small Business Committee Chairwoman Vasquez told reporters, while these companies are dispersed throughout the country, they're united by a common message that small firms are still hurting and they are counting on Congress for more support. Aside from the new $42 billion infusion for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, the legislation will provide $13 billion for a new Hard-Hit Industries Award program for small businesses that were not eligible for other crisis aid programs. In order to qualify, businesses with up to 200 employees will have to show that they've experienced at least a 40% loss in revenue 2020 and 2021 compared to 2019. The programs will be offset with any funds received and recovered by the federal government from entities that defrauded past relief programs, like the Paycheck Protection Program. Republicans argue that the additional crisis aid to help restaurants and other small businesses is unnecessary at a time. They also warned that more government spending could exacerbate inflation. Nonetheless, negotiations are still taking place. A bipartisan group of senators announced earlier this week that they had reached an agreement for a $10 billion crisis relief package. That was lower than an amount of $15.6 billion that the bipartisan deal had through September. But some House Democrats have balked at a proposed offset that would have clawed back unused crisis relief funding from certain states. Nationwide, the highest average price for regular grade gas was in Los Angeles at $5.85 per gallon. The lowest average was in Tulsa, Oklahoma at $3.52 per gallon. According to the survey, the average price of diesel was $5.13 a gallon, down 2 cents over 2 weeks. Experts have said that prices dropped automatically in the past 2 weeks, in part because higher prices reduced demand during the second half of March. But the drop isn't predictive of future declines because, among other things, the global oil supply is tight due to a dip in output last month. In a bid to reduce spiking energy prices, Biden last month ordered the release of 1 million barrels of oil per day from the nation's Strategic Petroleum Reserve for 6 months. On Thursday, the International Energy Agency said that its member countries are releasing 60 million barrels of oil from the emergency reserves on top of the United States pledges. The organization says the new commitments made by its 31 member nations will include the US and much of Europe. Now, the governors of both Alaska and Florida have proposed suspensions of gas taxes in their state. Alaska Governor Mike Dunleavy proposed in mid-March that the state suspend the collection of tax on motor and marine fuels, aviation gas, and aviation jet fuel until June 30th, 2023.
Over here in the House side, and the House pursuing this aggressively, holding the hearing, having all the partners working together to create a common vision to go forward. It just comes down to this. Are we here for the purpose of pumping up our personal profit or pursuing the public purpose? And it's a conversation we have been having for a decade, because it was April 4th, back in 2012, that Sherrod Brown and I put forward the ban conflicted trading amendment on the Stock Act. And, we had a group of senators that joined us, but not too many. And it has been a process over this last decade of coming back to the issue of increasing the integrity of the work we do. The American people have doubts when they read studies that say members of Congress have stock portfolios that perform significantly better than the general public, and wonder where are they getting that information from. And here's the thing. What should one have in their mind at the moment that you are voting on a bill? public purpose, not your portfolio. What should you have in mind when you're considering an amendment? Public purpose, not your portfolio. What should you have in mind when you are crafting legislation? And
from the Amsterdam, New York area were celebrating a birthday and they were killed in a limo crash in Schoharie. As the president deeply understands, that is a loss no parent should endure. It was horrific, preventable tragedy stemming from outdated federal rules and loopholes that allowed dangerous limos to operate on the road unchecked. In the face of the loss, rather than curse the darkness, Kevin and the families impacted that day lit a candle. Every day since that accident, they have pushed every single senator to support changes in our laws to make these vehicles safer to ride in. Today, their perseverance has paid off. Kevin, my friend, it was an honor to fight alongside you, and today Patrick is smiling down with pride.
Breaking news, everybody. Biden just signed a new bill into law that is worth over $1 trillion. Biden will also announce new social programs that will provide more financial help to American people. President Biden just signed the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure package into law in a rare bipartisan event attended by members of Congress, governors, and mayors at the White House. Now, once signed, the bill will deliver $550 billion of new federal investments in America's infrastructure over 5 years. That's including money for roads, bridges, mass transit, and waterways. The package includes a $65 billion investment in improving the nation's broadband infrastructure and invests tens of billions of dollars in improving the electric grid and water systems. Another $7.5 billion will go to building a nationwide network of plug-in EV vehicle chargers. Plus, Biden celebrated the massive bipartisan bill, saying it is proof that both parties can deliver real results for real people. Biden thanked Kamala Harris and members of Congress to pass the bill. Biden used a portion of his remarks to speak directly to the American people, saying this day matters to you as well. Everybody, what are your thoughts on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and everybody in Congress? Are they doing all that it takes to send out the fourth stimulus check? I want to know your thoughts on this. Tell me in the comments below. Kamala Harris also noted the historic nature of the bipartisan bill in delivering a key promise on President Biden during his campaign. Harris also thanked leaders in Congress who worked on the bill together and gained bipartisan consensus, as well as the support from millions of Americans who believe that we can get this done. It is great that Congress has finally signed the bipartisan bill into law, but now lawmakers need to work on Biden's social safety net bill. Now lawmakers have the opportunity to provide low-income Americans with more financial relief through this bill.